So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And this one is about the Dai Lama, or Dai Lamas. Basically, the battle or continuing battle of the Dai Lamas. And I'll get into that in a moment. Of course, I am Earthling, yada yada yada. I have lost almost 100 pounds and kept it off from my heaviest. I was in the reserves, Army Reserves. I have a couple of degrees from a scholarship that I got a long time ago. And also, I take care of my uncle who has dementia. And I traveled a lot. Right. So I'm talking about the Dai Lamas of Tibet. And something that just occurred to me. Now, there is the Dai Lama that everybody knows, who is outside of China and Tibet. And I think most people accept that this is the Dalai Lama. Now, the Dalai Lama is supposed to be the leader of the people in Tibet, the Buddhists in Tibet. Is it? Well, I don't think it's just Buddhists. I think it's the Tibetan whatever specific religion it is that is in Tibet. I think it might have to do with Taoism, something along those lines. Anyway, that's not really my point. My point is that apparently the people in China itself, in Tibet, who are supported by the Chinese government, they seem to have identified a Dalai Lama, not recently, this is an ongoing issue. They've identified a Dalai Lama in China, in Tibet, that people would suggest is a kind of a puppet Dalai Lama, Whereas the real Dalai Lama is not in China and not under the thumb of the Chinese government. Now, I don't know a whole lot of details about the Dalai Lama that the Chinese government supports or supposedly controls, but that isn't my point either. My point really is that it's a battle between Chinese control, Dalai Lama, that whole idea of that, and the quote-unquote free Dalai Lama. And I find it curious that when this Dalai Lama dies, I don't think there's any way that the people who are in control of determining who he is reincarnated as would ever think that he would ever be reincarnated in China or within an area that the Chinese government controls. And on the side of the Chinese government, if the current Dalai Lama that they support, or when he dies, I don't think that he will ever be reincarnated in an area that is outside of their control, like in the US or just some part of Tibet maybe that they don't have complete control over. And I find that it is a little bit hilarious. And to me, there is the idea that, it's the Chinese government. They're the ones that are throwing up this smoke screen. They're trying to muddy the waters and make it seem as if they have the real Dalai Lama when we do. But the thing is, both sides, to me, seem to have a bit of hypocrisy when you take the whole situation into account. Now, again, I don't know the full details of the situation. All right? I don't know this current Dalai Lama. I don't know directly when he left China. I don't know the other one, like when he was pronounced the Dalai Lama of the Tibetan people who are in Tibet. But I am suggesting that it doesn't matter, because it's on either side of the situation, it is, a contrivance. It's a contrivance about continuing to maintain the control that you have. Whether it is the Chinese puppet, one might say, or whether it is the puppet of the Tibetan, the people who are exiled from Tibet. Either one of those people, they are going to twist and bend reality to support the system that they prefer. And as someone who really does not believe in religion, but I do come from a Catholic background, I kind of give a certain amount of deference, unfortunately, or gave a certain amount of deference to the Dalai Lama that we all know. Not that I believe in any of that, but I do kind of give a kind of slight respect. But then I'm thinking about it. You just happen to be the Dalai Lama that, the people who are fighting from outside of China have pronounced. And isn't that just so convenient? And hasn't it always been so convenient that Dalai Lamas throughout time have always been reincarnated in the same region, in the same race, etc.? Isn't that kind of weird? I know that amongst Hindus, people would, as another group that also believes in reincarnation, they would believe that their ancestors would have been reincarnated as potentially cows, I would like to say, or other animals, or other people. And again, amongst Hindus, there's a certain amount of convenience where you're suggesting that, oh, a Hindu is not going to be reincarnated as a Christian, as a Muslim, as somebody outside of India. Isn't that kind of convenient as well? I mean, doesn't it just show the edges, the fraying of the whole fabric of the whole system that's built to keep people thinking about this particular system, that this is the true path? So, and of course, wherever the edges are fraying, it might seem like, oh, people are going to see the truth. They're going to be able to pull back the curtain, and they're going to be able to, this is going to be a leaky point for people who leave the system, leave the religion. And it usually isn't. You can have a huge, big, gaping hole. The same kind of plot holes you have in all of these movies that we watch. And yet, all of us who enjoy watching movies, we see these gaping plot holes in the movie. And 2 seconds later, we just forget, and we just keep going with the rest of the action. So, no, it just doesn't change anything. And I'm not hoping that this current accepted Dalai Lama dies. But I just think that if I'm around when this guy does die, and he is reported to have been reincarnated, exactly as I'm suggesting, somewhere out of the reach of the Chinese government, and people just accept that hey, He had absolute control over where he would be reincarnated, and as a result of that, he wanted to make sure he was outside of the control of the Chinese government, and that's the reason why he will continue to be reincarnated outside of China in order to make sure that his mission to have a free Tibet, that it comes to completion. I'm thinking, if you have that much power and that much control over where you can be reincarnated, why don't you just reincarnate yourself as someone who will become the leader of China and then free Tibet? That seems like an easy thing to do. You just try to remember your past life, what your mission was, become leader of China, and just free Tibet. I don't think that's likely to happen. But, anyway, that's it for me. Feel free to like, dislike, challenge, comment, subscribe. I have to remember to ask people to like or dislike early in the video. But, yeah, just maybe keep in mind, hey, what kind of feedback would I like if I were putting out content on YouTube? Have a good one. Peace.